Hello, Pokemon players. It's Jolteon, and today I'm going to be doing another video, or I'm going to be starting a video of generational Pokemon, Pokemon I like of each generation, either by playing with them, if I've actually used them in battle in the games, or like them because of their card art, or even just, like their looks in general. I will admit, I've only played generations 1 through 4. I've not played 5, 6, and 7. I think I personally didn't care for a lot in Generation 5. Generation 6, I had a few more likes than dislikes, and then Generation 7, I've liked quite a few more. So to me, I feel like they got up pretty high, then they dropped, and they're starting to climb back up again on Pokemon that, at least I like. And obviously, these are my opinions, everyone else is going to have a like and dislike depending on when they started playing Pokemon and all that. So, Generation 1, I'm going to go ahead and start off with some of my favorite Pokemon that I've either played with or just like the looks of. A lot of the times I've played with these Pokemon in Generation 1 or 2. Unless I've added them in, a few of them got to play with them in Generation 3 or 4, depending on, what it was. A lot of the Pokemon games I played lately are kind of modded ones based off of like Crystal and stuff like that. So, yeah. So we'll go ahead and get started. So the first one is Aerodactyl. To be honest, in Generation 1, I never really played through with an Aerodactyl. I played more with Aerodactyl in Generation 4 on Soul Silver, and he's a fun rock flying type. You get to fly with him. He has a few different rock moves like Ancient Power, Rock Slide. Of course, Generation 4 you get the Stone Edge, but he has a cool look. So also going through the videos, you'll kind of see a common theme of Earth type Pokemon, which would be ground, rock, steel, some grass for the most part. So yeah, and Aerodactyl falls into it mainly because he's a fossil Pokemon. And there's some fossil Pokemon I like out of each generation. I'll, share which ones I like and don't like. But Aerodactyl is one of them. So the next one is Lapras. A water ice type. I personally never really played. I've only played with them a few times in like blue, red, yellow, and then fire. I think it was like leaf green. Because you get them for free in the Saffron or the Silphco Tower during the fight against Team Rocket. I've also used them in I think it was one Soul Silver game and a few Crystal and Silver games where you get them in the Union Cave on Fridays. So, Lapras is a fun Pokemon nonetheless, and yeah, so definitely, worth playing with it. He's a great surfer. He's great with ice, fire. It sucks, being hit by electric, but when you go against the Elite Four, it's a really good Pokemon to use because you get, Ice Beam, Aurora Beam, Waterfall, Surf, a lot of different move coverages or coverage moves. Also, it also learns moves like Thunderbolt. Like, okay. So it's an interesting, it has quite a few, it has a good move pool, put it that way. I liked them as a Magmar. Of course, I've liked evolutions and kind of the babies, but I'll get to that in another story. Well, I guess I'll get to it in this one, but Generation 1, here and there, I did use Magmar and Electabuzz for the most part. But yeah, that was just depends on the run I was using. Because if I was using a Charmander, I never touched Magmar. I used Magmar and Electabuzz more future generations, like Generation 2. So, and honestly, one of my first shiny Pokemon, outside of Red Gyarados, because that's kind of a given one. But in Generation 2, in Crystal, I got an egg from the, because you get a free egg, one free egg from the daycare couple when you get to Goldenrod, and it hatched into a shiny Magby. And then I used that Magmar Sense on a team when I was using Feraligatr, and I was like, I'm glad I got that. So, yeah. But yeah, that is Electabuzz and Magmar. I've also used their evolutions, but I'll get to their evolution talk when I get to Generation 4. So, yeah. The next one is Raichu. Now, I will say this. I don't care for Pikachu that much. Really don't. I know it's a mascot. I know it's a fan favorite, but Pikachu's, they keep outshining Raichu with a pre-evolution. Like, in Generation 2, they decided to make it to where you've trade over a Pikachu, or I think it was Pikachu or Raichu, or just Pikachu, over from Generation 1 to 2, and you get a light ball, which boosts, I think it was like a special attack and attack for Raichu, or Pikachu. And it's just so that Pikachu can compete kind of on the levels with Raichu. And they've added some more different Pikachu variants since then, between either different forms of Pikachu himself or different, like, cheap knockoffs of Pikachu, like Blustle, Minun, Emolga, etc. So, yeah, this is Raichu. I loved using Raichu. I will admit, though, I've always wanted to get the surfing Pikachu. I cheated to get it, but because I liked using, I liked playing Pokemon Stadium when I was young, so I cheated a Pikachu to have surf so that I could have a surfing Raichu. So that Raichu could surf and get some of those ground types, catch him off guard with a surf. So yeah, Raichu is I really like Raichu, and I also had fun with his Pokemon cards. I collected the Pokemon cards, and I enjoyed, having the foil base set 2 Raichu. So yeah, it's kind of cool. And I will say this, talking about Pikachu, Raichu, and Pichu, etc. One of the things I've always wanted to do is, once I get to the point of, making my own version of, like, Pokemon Crystal, one of the towns, I don't know which town yet, will have this Pokemon museum type thing. Of course, it'd be after you beat the Elite Four, but it'll actually have a lot of Pikachu fans, but they also have all the other Pikachu variants. Like, you'll get to see Emolga, you'll get to battle against a Plusle, Minun, and all those. So, but yeah, that is Raichu for you. The next one is Kabuto and Kabutops. So, when I finally got the dome fossil hatched, I didn't care for them too much right off, but once I started liking the move pool and how they ran, that was a really cool Pokemon type. Yep, they do have a move that can easily beat itself, and that is Absorb, Mega Drain, and then, of course, later generations you can teach it Giga Drain, which is it's cool that it's a rock type that drains. Of course, I think some variations does also have it learn Leech Life, but yeah, it's a cool fossil type. This is the Generation 1 of every time I go through Mount Moon, this is the Pokemon I'd always get. Even though I never get to use him on team half the time because you have to wait until Cinnabar just to get him unlocked. But for the most part, yeah. Unless I actually cheated him early games just so I can play with him early on, just so I can have a Kabutops later on. Because I would like to actually play with a Kabuto or Kabutops, see how they run in a team. But waiting way long just to get them, to me, it's not worth it. Because by then, I have my water type filled and maybe a rock type filled. So the next one is the Ghost Trio, Ghastly Hunter, Gengar. Of course, they did give a Mega Evolution for Gengar later generation. I'll talk about Mega Evolutions in its own video. What Mega Evolutions I like. But for the most part, Ghastly Hunter, Gengar, they were really fun. Like, they had so many movesets that I just enjoyed playing with in Pokemon Stadium and Stadium 2. Like, once I actually get my Gengar, Haunter or Gengar over to Pokemon Stadium 1 or 2, I'd actually start, having fun with it. Especially in Generation 2. In Generation 1, Ghastly Hunter Gengar had access to Mega Drain. It was one of my favorite grass-type moves at that time. But then when Giga Drain came out, that one became that was just an upgrade. And it kind of matched with Ghastly Hunter Gengar because a lot of times you'd see Ghastly Hunter Gengar, you'd want to do the Hypnosis Dream Meter kind of trick. And that's how some of the movesets were set up in Pokemon Stadium 1 or 2. And so it's kind of, I'd rather just do it all at once. So Giga Drain, ended up working. Plus, Gengar had this trio had the weakness of ground, unfortunately, because of the poison typing. So in in the end, I just, you know, you throw Giga Drain on, you can at least deal with pesky ground types or ground rock types. You could just, you know, a lot of and even water types. But it was also fun to use with Thunderbolts. The punch moves were activated in came out in Generation 2, but I don't think they learned them until Generation 3 or 4, something like that. I think they used some of them in Generation 2, but the punch, thunder, fire, and ice punches were usable, especially when you... Of course, it was started with Ghastly. I don't know, I don't get it, but Ghastly doesn't have hands, but I guess you can make ghost hands appear out of nowhere to punch. That would be weird. So, but yeah, that is Ghastly Hunter Gengar. This is a fun Pokemon. I enjoyed playing just with the move sets. Like, Generation 1, I'd have Psychic, Thunderbolt, Nightshade, and Mega Drain. But in Generation 2, I'd use Shadow Ball, Sludge Bomb, Thunderbolts, and Giga Drain. That would be my build on a lot of them. So, yeah. Jolteon, now, out of the evolutions in Generation 1, Jolteon was by far the number one pick. By far. I always liked him. And what was interesting is I actually liked it to where I get Eevee to evolve into Jolteon at level 30, so that Jolteon knew Bite. So it got to the point where it'd go Thunderbolt, Bite, Pen Missile, and Double Kick. I know 3 of the moves were kind of meh at that time, between Generation 1 and 2, but, you know, that was just the best moves I could get. Well, at least other than I would trade Bite out for Shadow Ball at times from Generation 2, so. But as an electric type, I would say he would be better than Raichu, so. Of course, this is set up in a weird order, so sorry about that. Now, the Nidoran line. Nidoran line was by far the best line. I always picked like 90% of the games I played through Generation 1, 2, I'd have the Nidoran male line. Always a Nidoran male line. Sometimes I'd run a Nidoran female line with or, you know, instead, but most of the times it was Nidoking. I loved using Nidoking. I think he's one of my favorites, top favorites of Generation 1. Being a ground poison type first off. But I'm going to kind of tell a story really quick. Back when I learned more about Pokemon, was starting to learn about Pokemon when I was like between 8 and 10, something like that. At that time I was living in Nevada instead of Utah, but I was over at a friend's house and they were playing Pokemon Stadium, the first one. And so I was just picking random Pokemon. I happened to pick Nidoking. And it had a move called Earthquake, which is I will say this, even though I'm going to do a series on favorite moves of each type. You know, I'll probably do a few of the favorite moves of each type, and Earthquake is number 1. Spoiler on that one. But I had fun using Earthquake and demolishing it because they just chose moves or Pokemon that actually was weak because they chose their favorite fire starters and electric starter or electric Pokemon, and I just had Nidoking and I'm just like stomping through them. I'm like, whoa! I did eventually lose them, but that was like a while ago, so I don't remember what I faced, but. We kind of had an argument that, you know, he was a ground type and that's why he was immune to electric types. But, you know, I know I won that one, but I don't think we ever, you know, finished talking about me to be able to win that one. But, you know, it's whatever. So, yeah, Nidoking has been, you know, a favorite since. And then because Nidoking also has a female version, Nidoqueen, I've kind of, you know, adapted to it. And then ever since these two came along, I've liked Pokemon that had similar, you know, styles of, I guess, body type or whatever you would want to call it. So, like, Rhydon, for instance. Ever since then, I've started liking Rhydon, and then Generation 2 was Tyranitar. Spoiler alert for that one. Generation 3 was Aggron, but it's spoiler for that one. But for the most part, yeah, these were, like Rhyhorn and Rhydon were, you know, some of my favorites. They were drill types. They were all drill Pokemon. Especially one of the other favorite moves I actually liked using back then was Horn Drill. Yes, the accuracy sucked, but to be able to Horn Drill, oh man, that was so fun. Oh, you're dead. Okay, I get lucky on Horn Drill too, especially when with that story with Nidoking, it also had I think Horn Drill on it, so I'd always be Horn Drilling as well. So yeah, Drill Pokemon had the Horn Drill. So, but Rhydon, I started liking Rhydon. Like, I will admit, I've kind of started leaning a little bit towards Rhydon a little bit more, mainly because he is more of an embodiment of Earth type, Earth typing being a rock ground. But for the most part, he's still kind of tied with Nidoking at number 1 for Generation 1. So, yeah. Rhydon is nonetheless the best. I also enjoyed the Pokemon cards, so to end it off, this is the favorite art of Rhydon. I just like the look of it, how dark he looks. I think that would look better than the pure gray. You know, having black and gray, kind of like he's charcoaled. I just like the look of that art on this Pokemon, on the Pokemon card. So, but players, this is Matt. This is Generation 1 Pokemon that I like. Let me know what you guys like in Generation 1. Please comment, subscribe, and share, and like. And thanks for watching. Appreciate your time, and have a wonderful day.